You know, every single day, the spaces we navigate are literally silently shaping the paths we take. So today, we're diving straight into this explainer on the fascinating world of behavioral economics, specifically nudge theory. We're going to unpack the exact tools strategists use to guide human behavior. And honestly, by the end of this, you'll probably see every choice presented to you in a totally new light.
Right at the heart of this source material is a really fascinating paradox. Look at it this way. On one side, the goal is to help people make better decisions for their health, their finances, the whole shebang. But on the other side, we absolutely have to respect their freedom of choice. So, how do you actively guide a decision while keeping that autonomy completely intact? It's like trying to steer a ship without ever actually touching the wheel. Well, let's figure out how to strike that balance.
What exactly is a nudge?
Simply put, a nudge is an application of behavioral economics that helps people make better decisions while entirely respecting their freedom of choice. It's a strategic tool. It's definitely not a mandate. Like banning junk food completely, that's a mandate. But moving fresh fruit to eye level and kind of shifting the candy down to the bottom shelf, now that is a nudge. Your freedom to grab the candy is 100% intact, but the environment has been reverse engineered to make the healthier choice just a little bit easier.
So, we're moving from just observing behavior to actively becoming what the text calls choice architects. The source material lays out 10 specific, highly practical methodologies we can use to design better environments. Let's crack open the toolkit.
Part 2. Simplifying the choice environment.
Look, we're all incredibly busy, right? And our brains are literally wired to conserve energy. When a choice environment is super complex or full of friction, cognitive load spikes. And what happens? People either make bad decisions or they get hit with decision paralysis and do absolutely nothing at all. By intentionally simplifying the space, applying default rules, and boosting ease and convenience, a choice architect clears away that fog. You basically make the best decision the easiest one to pull off.
Take default rules, for instance. By just setting the optimal choice as the standard, you're guiding behavior without restricting anyone's ability to opt out. A classic example mentioned in the material is retirement savings. When companies switch from making employees manually opt in to a 401k to just automatically enrolling them by default, participation absolutely skyrockets. You're catching everyone who's just taking the path of least resistance, while still fully respecting the freedom of the folks who want to manually opt out. It's a real game changer.
Part 3. Information and social influence. Okay, as highly social creatures, we are evolutionarily wired to look at the people around us to figure out what we should be doing. Highlighting social norms, pointing out what the majority of people are already doing, is an incredibly effective way to get someone to align their behavior with the group. On top of that, controlling the flow of information through deliberate disclosure and warnings, that directly shapes how we perceive risk.
And there is a massive psychological contrast here between standard disclosure and warnings. Disclosure respects your intelligence, right? It gives you raw, neutral data to process logically. But a warning, especially a graphic one, acts as a much sharper psychological nudge. It essentially bypasses the purely logical brain and taps directly into our emotional risk assessment centers. Both strategies respect your ultimate freedom to choose, but they drastically alter the emotional weight of making that choice.
Part 4. Driving personal action. We all have these great intentions for our future selves, don't we? But we often fail to follow through in the actual moment. Pre-commitment strategies solve this by locking in a decision when your motivation is peaking. Reminders act as that gentle, timely little tap on the shoulder to keep the commitment front of mind. And honestly, perhaps the most powerful tool here is informing people of the nature and consequences of their own past choices. Seeing the raw data on what you've done in the past forces a moment of self-reflection that can instantly correct future behavior.
Now, building on that, one of the most effective tools in the choice architect's arsenal is eliciting implementation intentions. It's one thing to vaguely decide you're going to do something, but it's another entirely to define the exact when, where, and how. By prompting someone to consciously map out the precise logistical steps of their decision, you massively reduce the friction of getting started. You're nudging them from a cloudy, kinda-sorta intention into a concrete, executable plan.
Part 5. The architecture of choice.
So, when we bring all these elements from the explainer together, we get a master toolkit. We've got environmental nudges to reduce friction. We've got social and informational nudges to leverage human psychology. And we've got action-driven nudges to bridge that pesky gap between intent and execution. By mastering these 10 specific methods, you can seamlessly guide better decision-making across the board in pretty much any scenario imaginable. Now that you know exactly how this toolkit works, a really interesting question emerges. How are your own daily decisions being shaped right now by this hidden architecture of choice? The next time you sign up for a new app, buy groceries, or even just plan your day, look for the default rules. Spot the deliberate simplification or the social norms at play. Your freedom is always being respected, but make no mistake, your choices are constantly being influenced. So, what nudges are guiding you today? Keep your eyes open